I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, November the 1st, where this market's treading sideways. This will be my last report here for this week as I am going out to California. I've been almost everywhere in this country, but I have not been to California. Looking forward to heading out there. I tell that they know how to party. I guess we're going to find out. Going out for Rick Machado's big main event performance horse sale in conjunction with DV Auction and Western Livestock Market. Got a big horse sale out there, kind of a ritzy deal, and you can watch it. You can watch the preview. It's going to be Saturday late morning. The preview will start on Saturday there, and then the sale is that evening, 4:30 West Coast time, and going to have some really high dollar horses on there. Be fun to just get on there and watch. Make sure that you're registered. You can also bid there on DV Auction, but should be a good time had by all, and looking forward to heading out there. But this cattle market just keeps treading sideways, especially the board has found this little trench that it wants to stay in on a kind of a narrow trading range. Can't seem to break out of it. If we can't get any leverage on the fat cattle trade. Gained $3 last week, and you thought it took heaven and earth to get that done. And be surprised if we get anything other than steady this week. And I'm talking like 114, 115 live, and around $1.80 dressed. Seems like it's just destined to go there. But look at the board. October, of course, the end of the last day of the month, Halloween. Left the board, live cattle futures. It jumped up $1.95 to go off at 115.85. Now there's just barely $1 premium to your December, which is now going to be the spot. It was only up 15 cents on Wednesday and ended the day at 116.95. There's that big end of the year fat cattle market that we've all been looking forward to. Less than $1.17 and very defeating. November feeder cattle up $1.30 on Wednesday at 153.47. January was up $2.02 at $150.12. Your fat cattle trade has been very limited. That's a good thing, but I still don't really feel like that they're going to be able to get any more ground, but I wish them the best, and I'll be back to tell you about it early next week. But through Tuesday, 2,000 head is all they'd sold, mostly in the northern plains, mostly all at 114, which is actually a pinch better because up there in Iowa, which is a lot of the trade has happened, which is only 2,000, so hadn't been that much, but 114 there. They never got that last week, so that could be a pinch better, but 180 dressed, and that would be steady. Box beef cutout values continue to rise. Wednesday afternoon, your choice cuts are at $216.93, up $1.33. Selects at $204.03, up $1.15. Now this feeder cattle market is getting very interesting. Real-time index on Cattle Market Central late in the day on Halloween Wednesday, they're sitting at 152.59, up 37 cents. So I don't think we had quite as many of the giant calves pulling the market down middle of this week, and starting to finally work through some of that early part of the stampede of the calves. And we think that there'll be some areas more into the central part of the Corn Belt and out east in the eastern Corn Belt that'll be moving some calves after they get done with harvest. We're going to see some demand come in after harvest when guys get their combines power washed off and hosed off there and put back up, and then they'll be ready to get in and get back in the cattle market, because that's about the only way they've found a way to add value to that corn is to feed it to cattle. And they've made a heck of a lot more money feeding cattle than they have growing corn the last couple of years. But you look at some of the markets on Wednesday. Of course, your biggest market, OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma, 9,700 head for the two-day sale. Just short of 5,000 head of yearlings on Wednesday. But feeder steers there, $1 to $2 lower. Feeder heifers were about steady. If you remember on Tuesday, most of your calf weights and kinds were $2 to $3 lower. So just taking the edge off a little bit. There's not such a big rush. A lot of your growing yards, your starter yards, preconditioned facilities are full. Now you're going to see a lot of guys pressing for some of the best calves for wheat. Of course, they have been all along, but if you've got some really hard weaned calves, there's no need to shut them up in muddy pens for 2 to 4 to 6 weeks or however long you're going to do it to before you turn those out. So now they're probably going to wait. This least wheat that guys have, it's going to be that's still 2 weeks before they can turn out on that. Most of them won't let you turn out till November the 15th. Some guys that own their own wheat have already started turning out. You see some cattle on the wheat, it's rank, guys. There's some knee-high wheat out there. It almost is dangerous rank. They would really like to see a hard freeze on that wheat before they turn them out to cut down on the bloat and things like that, the problems you have. That wheat is pretty rank stuff, especially when it's as tall and thick and lush as it is right now. Dodge City, Kansas, 3,300 head. Feeder cattle there, $1 to $5 lower mostly. Light steer calves were sharply higher, the kind that you would turn out on wheat or the weedy type calves there, but still haven't really fully realized all that winter wheat grazing demand that we will see continue through the winter, depending on how bad the winter is. It's just that everybody's got a little bit spooked about all this moisture that we've had this winter, thinking we're going to have a terrible, snowy, bad winter, and it is an El Nino year, so that means moisture in the southern plains, and you can always want the moisture, but you don't want it in freezing rain or snow. Anyways, we are looking for more demand to come into the calf market. And we have sold a world of those calves, especially those ones that they sold back in the summertime on the big videos, and not just Superior, but Western Video, Northern Video, Cattle Country Video. All the big video markets sold a world of calves to deliver in October. Well, guess what? We're done with October now. So those cattle have been placed. So as they start moving through the system a little bit, it will open up mostly hospital pens, because, you know, back in the summertime when the weather's great and these big strings of ranch calves are strolling across the screen and everybody's cocked back bidding on these big ranch deals on the video, and they don't think there's a problem in the world, they forget all of those cattle are balling calves. It says right on the contract in the catalog, when you look, that morning that you load them, we'll sort from the cow. 90% of them or more say that. And you tend to forget how miserable it can get when you start getting these big wide changes in weather. You start getting wet pens, you start getting cool damp weather, and you start getting a lot of sick calves. And we've seen a lot of that as we get into November. There's not as many previously contracted cattle to deliver in November, not all that many video cattle to ship in November, and things will open up, and I think it could actually help our calf market quite a bit as we start straightening out. If we could get a good hard freeze, I mean, and not 29 degrees or 30, but I mean get down there in the teens and hold it there for a little bit and wipe out a lot of this airborne illness, and then the weather tends to settle down after that, and you don't see quite so many wide spreads in the highs and lows, and that's what straightening these cattle up needs. And let's look at several quotes here on Wednesday. Bassett Livestock Auction, Bassett, Nebraska. Of course, they had have the big sales every time they have them. But you know that their quotes on this past Wednesday, that's where so many of those calves have been moving. They weren't quite leaving everybody else as far as they do a lot of times. A lot of them were kind of in line with what everybody else had been bringing, of course, towards the top of the market. But they did have a few stick-out deals, and I pulled one out here for you for sure. Some fancy 90 head of fancy 608-pound calves in Bassett, Nebraska, bring 189 and a quarter, and that was probably the biggest stick-out deal that they had. But of course, a great sale they had anyway. But up in the north central states, up in that the northern plains area where all those big calves have been moving, I got on Cattle Market Central and kind of pulled up the 500 to 700 pound steer calves that we've sold all week this week, and the average on those was right around 170. And actually, there wasn't a very wide range in there. Most of them all settling in there on the average around 170, and that's just kind of what you can bank on. I tell you where they did have a stick out sale was all my buddies up there at St. Joe Stockyard, St. Joseph, Missouri. Wow, did they have some stick out deals, but they got green yearlings in there, and guys know that's where you go to get them. They give you a fair weigh up, a lot of condition. These are put together cattle, but of a really, really good kind. But a big set of steers. The urban cattle sold there, 148 head of steers, weighed 711 pounds at 175. And then also in St. Joe on the Wednesday morning, Herbert Gregory always has good cattle there. 118 head of 850 pound steers in St. Joe brings 167.10. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday.